And a very good Saturday morning, coming to you live from the Eastern time zone here in Charlotte, North Carolina. But whatever time zone you happen to be in, welcome to the show. I hope you're having a good morning so far, because you guys out on the West Coast probably just getting up right now. But most of us in the middle to the in the eastern part of the country, we've been up for a few hours, kind of getting things together. So, anyway, today is Saturday. We have some baseball games to talk about. We have 3 games on tap for today. 3 games we're going to take a close look at to give you an idea as to which direction the pros are going. We'll be looking at Washington against the Yankees, Minnesota against the Detroit Tigers, and of course the Blue Jays against the Astros. We're also going to bring you up to date. We had 3 choices yesterday. They didn't do so well yesterday, but that's how it goes, Like we say, the pros hit about 60% of the time. If that's the case, on the other side of the coin, they're losing 40% of the time. So yesterday we took a little beating, but hey, it happens. But over the long haul, we're still doing very, very well with that little method of selecting games to play. So we'll be talking about that, and also we'll talk about money management. Something that we don't talk about too often. I know it's kind of a boring subject, maybe, but it's very important, because if you manage your money properly, you'll be all working out for you in the end. So we'll go into some hints and thoughts and ideas on ways to do that as well. So anyway, that's the story. That's the story on Saturday morning right here in Charlotte, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as on podcasting platforms just as well, such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, you name it. We're there for you as well. And we're also on Blackjack TV on the East Coast as well. So once again, welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. We totally appreciate you listening to the show. But as usual, if you've listened to the show before, you know the first thing we do, we talk about what happened yesterday as far as betting was concerned in the sports world. In the National Hockey League, to begin with, once again, the underdogs, now they're finally raising those ugly heads of theirs. They've been quiet, muzzled all season long in the National Hockey League, but the past few days, they started coming out of their shells. The underdogs went 4-3. They were upset by the Red Wings at a plus 116 on the money line against the Blue Jackets, and the Flyers were a plus 151 up against the Capitals. The Stars were a plus 120 against the Lightning, and the Coyotes were a minus 105 against the Sharks. Those were the dogs that won yesterday. In the meantime, the overs, they went 5-2, but the unders still lead 401 to 390, which is 50.7%. The first period overs yesterday were 4-3, and they still lead, and they're at 51.1%. Meanwhile, over in the NBA, the favorites, they went 9-1 straight up, but they just went 6-4 against the spread. The lone upset was by the Bulls, a 4-point dog against the Celtics, plus the Pelicans, an 11.5-point dog against the Sixers. The Rockets, 17.5-point dogs against the Bucks. The Lakers, 7.5-point dogs against the Blazers. They covered, even though they did lose that particular game straight up. The Blazers also passed the Lakers for the number 6 seed out there in the Western Conference. In the meantime, the favorites, they still lead. They're at 51.1% so far on the season. The over-under split yesterday at 5-5, so the overs still have the lead. They're at 50.4%. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, another no-hitter. Wade Miley threw a no-hitter in the Reds' 3-0 win against Cleveland. By the way, this was the second no-hitter pitched against Cleveland so far this season. He was plus 130 as a road underdog with Cincinnati. It was the 4th no-hitter of the season. 30 days into the season, and we've had 4 no-hitters. And it's the second in just 3 days, okay? Now, there's a prop for that that's usually priced somewhere around 20 to 1. So kind of take a look into that. It seems like that's becoming more the norm than not. Because the favorites went 9-6 with the Angels being a plus 150 on the money line. They beat the Dodgers 9-2. Who would have thought the Dodgers would have had this type of a season? Well, it's not really the start of the season. They started real hot, but then after the first couple of weeks, now they've kind of been in a tailspin. There were other upsets as well in baseball: the Phillies, the Giants, Nationals, the Reds, and the Mariners. The favorites still lead. They're just 251 to 225 straight up. Meanwhile, the overs went 9-6, but the unders, they still have a slim lead of 240 to 236. So, we were talking about earlier in the season, before the season started, actually, talking about the possibility that there might be a soft baseball out there, okay? And trying to keep the scores down and stuff of that nature. I'm telling you, it's doing a pretty good job of that as well. So that's the story. Another no-hitter. It just goes on and on. The dogs and also the unders have been doing very, very well so far this season. In fact, when we come back, let's see, we'll kind of talk about it right now. I think that's a pretty good time to do it. It's that we're talking about Major League Baseball, the dogs, okay? Because the favorites and the underdogs, they are going back to Thursday even. They went 5-5 overall. But just to show you the beauty of betting on dogs is the plus money that are the payouts when you have dogs that win. For instance, that day, the Astros were a plus 175. Rangers were a plus 157. The Indians were a plus 123. The Phillies were a plus 110. And the Rays were a plus 137. The dogs produce almost 2 units of winning percentage. This means that if you bet $100, you made $184 Thursday night's game betting the dogs only, despite the fact that they broke even. They only won half of the games. That's why we talk about betting on dogs and being contrarian bettors. It kind of tells you how different betting baseball is compared to other sports. Because, if you go 5-5 on Sunday with the NFL, okay, and based on standard spreads with the over-under bets, you actually lost some money because you'd be paying the juice. But in baseball, if you can isolate some valuable dogs and avoid favorites, you can turn a profit even with a slightly under 500 rate. So to kind of put this in perspective is this way. The dogs are now 220 and 242. They won 220. They lost 242 going into yesterday. This amounts to a 47, almost 48% win percentage. You would think that the dogs would be a losing bet since they're only winning 47% of the time. However, because of the plus money payouts, betting the dogs has really translated into plus 52 units won so far. This means that a $100 bettor would have profited at $5,200 if you just bet every dog. Just take a look at the games. Who's pitching, doesn't matter what's going on, weather, whatever it is, just bet the dog $5,200 if you were a $100 bettor. So the moral of the story is very simple. You can win at a lower rate, but still make money on these profitable dogs. That's why as a contrarian bettor, and the pros as well, they're contrarians as well. We love betting Major League Baseball every day. There's a lot of opportunities to maximize that edge, especially when you have almost 15 games a day to pick on, okay? So if you can pick the spots, hit on a few dogs each day, you can grind your way to a real profitable long haul as far as the baseball season is concerned. So just a little talk about dogs, why we bet dogs, why we are more of a contrarian philosophy here at the Sports Wagering Zone. Not saying that you should adopt it totally. You don't have to adopt or do anything that we talked about. All we do is bringing you the information, leaving it up to you to decide what it is that you want to do. Okay? So let's take our break. And just a reminder, we'll be back into the Sports Wagering Zone looking at 3 games: Washington against the Yankees, Minnesota against Detroit, and of course the Blue Jays up against the Astros. So we take 3 breaks in the show. Each one is of about 1 minute duration. So if that's the case, we'll be back in the zone in 1 minute. And welcome back. You're back in the Sports Wagering Zone. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Yes, we are. Of course, we're podcasting on most of your podcast platforms. I'm not going to go over all of them with you again. You know what they are: Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, they're all there. So we're here. We're here on Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. So in the meantime, let's talk about where the money's going on a couple of games coming up in baseball for today. To start with the early game today, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, you got the Washington Nationals, 13-15, going down to New York to play the Yankees. We're at 500 right now, 16-16. Now, the Nationals, they crushed the Yankees 11-4. Last night's Interleague Series opener, they cashed in as plus 160 road dogs. And in this afternoon's rematch, the Nats are going to run their big ace, Max Scherzer. He's 2-2 with a 2.54 ERA. Meanwhile, the Yankees, they're coming back with their veteran, Corey Kluber. He's 2-2 also with a 3.03 ERA. Now, as we look at the line in this game, it opened with the Yankees as a short minus 115 home favorite, and the Nationals as a plus 105 road dog. That's how they open. Now, the public, they're going in and they're backing Scherzer as a rare plus money dog. It's not often that you get plus money on a guy like Scherzer. However, despite all this action that's going in that direction, we've seen New York come up from minus 115 to minus 125 on the money line. What this means is that the pro money is fading that trendy dog, Washington, and buying in on the Yankees as a short contrarian favorite right at home. Now, so far this season, interleague teams that see line movements in their favor are at 62%. We've also seen some under money coming up in this game as well. The total in this game is 8, with the under juiced to minus 115. Now, the forecast at Yankee Stadium, mid-50s. Wind will be blowing in right to center at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Interleague unders are 16 and 20, 57% this season. Now, both these teams, they've been profitable to the under so far this season. The Yankees are 19 and 13 to the under. The Nats 17 and 10 to the under. So in this particular situation, the pros like the Yankees and they like the under as well. Meanwhile, at 4 o'clock, you got the Minnesota Twins and the Detroit Tigers. The Twins took last night's American League Central game 7-3. They won as minus 140 road favorites. Now, in this afternoon's rematch, the Twins are coming in with their ace, Jose Berrios, who is 3-2 so far this season with a 3.58 ERA. The Tigers, well, they give the ball to righty Jose Urena. He's only 1-4 so far this season with a decent ERA at 3.53. So as we look at the line for this game, it opened with the Twins listed as a minus 175 road favorite and the Tigers a plus 160 home dog. Now, the pros don't seem to be worried because of the big price, and they've also come in and backed the Twins as well. When they did that, it moved the price up to minus 175 to 185 on the money line. Now, Minnesota has value because they're a team that are getting 15 or more cents, and they're coming off a win. That's 57% so far this season. A team getting 15 cents or more and coming off a win are at 57% this season. Now, the Twins are also a big favorite because there's a low total in this game of 8. Now, remember this, historically, when you have low totals, they usually help the favorites because there are fewer amount of runs that are being expected to be scored. And if they do get scored, more than likely they'll come from the team with the better record. Okay. The Twins look to lean on their bats in this one as well. Minnesota's hitting at 238, and that ranks 9th in the league, by the way. The Tigers are hitting at 207, and that's somewhere around 29th in the league. The Twins are +2 in run differential. Tigers are minus 72. That 72 is the worst in baseball. Now, these teams have played 4 games so far this season. The Twins have won 3 and lost 1. So in this particular game, the pros, even though you're going to have to lay some very heavy wood in this game, the pros are on the Twins in this game. Meanwhile, the night game at 7 o'clock, the Toronto Blue Jays, 16-15, against the Houston Astros, 17-15, 1 win more. Now, the Astros took care of business yesterday. They crushed the Jays, 10-4. They were minus 140 on the money line as home favorites. Now, in tonight's rematch, the Jays come in with Steven Matz, 4-2, with a 4.78 ERA. The Astros come back with their righty, Christian Javier. He's 3-0 with a 1.75 ERA. Once again, we look at the line. It opened with Houston as a minus 135 home favorite. Toronto a plus 125 road dog. Now, big money seems to be backing the Astros to make it 2 in a row, as we've seen Houston get bet up from minus 135 to 145. Now, the Astros in this game, they have value because they're a non-division favorite. They have a line move that's in their favor as well. Now, since the 2018 season, the Astros have gone 96-53. That's a little over 64% against the left-handed starting pitchers. Once again, as far back as 2018, the Astros have gone little over 64% against left-handed starting pitchers. The Astros are plus 34 in run differential this season as well. The Jays, they're at plus 24. Toronto's 9-11 on the road. Meanwhile, Houston, they're 8-7 at home. So in this particular situation, the pros are on Houston in this game. So just a quick recap of the games that we talked about so far today. As we start the early afternoon game at 1 o'clock, Washington Nationals against the New York Yankees. The pros in that particular game are on the New York Yankees. At 4 o'clock, the Twins against the Tigers. The pros are on Minnesota, but keep in mind, you're going to be laying a lot of heavy wood in that particular game. Toronto Blue Jays against the Astros. The pros in this game are on the Astros as well. So that's the story about the games for today. Kind of give you a recap of what happened yesterday. We had 3 selections yesterday that we've been following. Okay. One of them was the Reds against the Indians. We had the Indians. That was a loss. The Braves against the Phillies. We had the Braves. That was the loser. And we had Tampa against Oakland. And of course, we know Tampa lost 2-1. So 3 losses yesterday out of 3 plays. Probably one of the worst days that we've had because we only have 3 plays, sometimes only 2 plays. So even that's not a total disaster. But if you look at the totality of it, since the beginning of the season, we had 99 plays, okay, 55 wins, which still gives you a 55.5% win percentage. So that's the story there. We tell you when they're doing good, tell you when they're doing bad. No dog in this fight. We're just giving you information. That's the way the pros are going. If you can make this as part of whatever system you're using, or if you want to adopt this as a system, that's totally up to you. We're not saying you should. We're not saying you shouldn't. We leave that decision up to you. All we can do is keep an eye on it, give you the numbers as they really are, and then you make the final judgment. So let's take our second break, and when we come back, we're going to start talking about money management. We got some time. We should start looking into that, especially as we get ready to get into the playoff season, whether it's hockey or basketball, and then we got to start getting ready for the NFL. Of course, we're going to be looking at futures markets. We're going to be looking at game totals. So it's a good idea right now to kind of sit down, look over your money situation, and kind of take it from there. So let's take our second break. Like I said, each one is a minute duration. So we'll be back right after these. And welcome back. Welcome back. You're in the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina on a Saturday morning. I hope you're having a good day so far. And hopefully before the day is over, you'll be able to say the same thing as well. As sports bettors, you just can't always just rest, sit back, and enjoy things, okay? There's always something to do, okay? In other words, the old expression is, you should never rest on your laurels, in other words, So we're looking to sharpen our edge, and we want to get ready for the next game. Looking to get ready for the next season, the playoffs, or whatever's coming up. With sports betting, we have to keep a close eye on our money management. And now's a great time. So you got to step back a little bit, take a good hard look at your bankroll, and kind of take it from there. If you're new into the game, this is some information that might be of real benefit for you. Because if you are a new bettor, you may not be familiar, because your bankroll is the amount of money that you've set aside. Money you've set aside just for betting. That's it. You take a certain amount of your money that you've got accumulated. You say, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it aside, and I'm going to use it just for betting. It's not going to affect my lifestyle. I'm still going to be able to pay my bills. Okay. We kind of refer to it as disposable income, and hopefully you won't have to dispose too much of it. Now, the number is different from all bettors. So whether you want to start at $100, some people might want to start at $1,000. The pros are up into the $100,000 mark, But no matter what amount of money you want to do, always remember that your bankroll has to be weighted based on what you're willing to lose, okay? You have to take that into consideration. Bankrolls fluctuate based on your betting calendar, and more specifically, how well you're doing at any time in the time period, okay? But whether you're hot or cold, bankroll management is very critical to make sure that you're there for the entire season. You don't want to blow it all in the first quarter of the season, and then as you keep looking at the games and saying, oh, I'll take this one, I would have had that one. And if you would have just had money left, you might have come out even, or maybe not lost as much, because whatever system you were using finally took off and was doing very, very well. But hey, you had no money, so you had to drop out. So that's why that's very important. And one of the best and easiest bankroll management systems, very simple, flat betting. You know what that means? It means betting the same amount of money every game that you're betting, regardless of how you feel about the game, whether you think, oh, this is strong, or I'm not sure on this one. You still bet the same amount of money. You risk 1 unit. We call that 1 unit. Ideally, that's anywhere from 1 to 5% of your bankroll on each play. Now, a good medium, of course, is 3%, or it's in between, right? Now, looking at it this way, it means that if you're starting off with $100, you're going to be betting $3 per game, $3 per game. Now, to calculate what this means for you, just take your beginning bankroll of $100 and multiply it by 0.03, and it tells you how much to bet per game. Now, this may not seem sexy, that's for sure, not exciting, but flat betting and this approach to betting will keep you from going bankrupt when you're struggling, but you also set you up with a positive return on your investment when you're doing well. So it'll help you when you're losing, and it'll also help you when you're winning, because flat betting means avoiding parlays. Stay away from parlays. They're considered the penny slot machines of betting, providing a massive edge to the house. The house loves parlays. They know they have a great percentage of wins of that. The idea isn't to become a millionaire overnight, but you have to grind out long term, slowly, to turn a profit day by day. Now, another important piece of bankroll management is that you assess your bankroll from time to time, okay? Ideally, at least once or twice a year. This way, you adjust it based on how well you're doing. Now, a lot of bettors do this in the summer when betting kind of dies down after basketball and hockey, and bettors start getting ready for the football season. But you know what? The sports betting on a hiatus due to the coronavirus was also a good time to do it as well. And now is the perfect time to reflect on your performance and see how you're doing. For example, let's say you started with a bankroll of $1,000 before the baseball season started, Okay, you've done well over the past few months. You turned that 1,000 into 1,500. When you started with 1,000, when the season started, your unit size was 3% per play, which equates to $30 per game. Now that you've increased your bankroll to 1,500, now you can adjust your new unit size to $45 per game as you keep going forward. Now, on the other hand, let's say you started with 1,000 and you're now down to 500. So you didn't have such a good time so far. Instead of continuing to bet $30 on a game, the good idea would be to adjust your unit size down to $15 per game, right? So you don't want to constantly adjust your bankroll once a week or even once a month. After all, we all go through ups, we go through downs. There's no doubt about it. Instead, you want to grind it out. Think long term instead of short term. Make the desired adjustment that you want, well, maybe every 6 months or so. Now, so as we get ready for the playoffs coming up, and then we're going to go into looking at the futures bets in the NFL and then getting ready for the NFL season. It's a good idea to start looking at your bankroll now and kind of getting an idea as to where you are and what your unit bets are going to be. So that's a little thing about money management. Very important. Like I said, there's nothing worse than running out of money before the season ends. Okay. And you really, I know you're going to do it, but you really shouldn't go tapping into other money as well. So that's the story there. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep reminding you about that as well. And in the meantime, let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll go over the 3 games that the pros have selected for the games for baseball for tonight and this afternoon. And of course, just a reminder, we'll be back into the sports wagering zone in 60 seconds. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone, coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Thank you very much for listening. By the way, we've been talking about this during the week, and I know we have different listeners. Sometimes, on Saturday and Sunday, we have people just listen on the weekend because it's in the morning, and they don't listen during the week, or maybe you're just listening to a podcast, so maybe you didn't hear this, but we're looking to try to set up a newsletter. We're trying to be more helpful to you out there. We want to give you the lines earlier so that you can plan your day as far as that's concerned, because, a lot of you out there working during the daytime don't have time to find out exactly what's going on as far as line movement is concerned and how the money is flowing on various games. So by having a newsletter, we would be able to give you funnel information to you as far as what the line is, how it's going in the morning, and kind of give you an idea as to what's going on, and also to kind of bring you up to date on some of the facts and things we have in store. I have a whole bunch of information that's totally relevant and important. But if I go into talking about it, you're going to fall asleep. But it is important. So if we had a newsletter, we could send it to you. That way you could read it, store it, hold on to it, look back at it every now and then to try to help you to become a better handicapper. That's the whole idea of the show. We're here just to make sure that we can be of some help to you so that you can be a better handicapper, and that way you'll be in the plus column as well. So if you have any interest at all, if you think this is a good idea, we've been talking about it almost most of the week, getting some good response on it, send us an email. Send it to thesportswageringzone@gmail.com. That's thesportswageringzone@gmail.com. You got to make sure you put the in there because that's part of the title. Don't have to say anything. You just say, yes, I'm interested. That's all. If you want to comment on the show, by all means, be happy to hear from it, whether it's plus or minus, whatever it is you feel. All I'm really interested in finding out is how many people are interested in having this done. If you are, let us know. We're working on it. And if we get enough people that are interested, we're definitely going to do it. Trust me, there's going to be other things that we're going to be adding to it. Every time we sit down and talk about it after the show, we always seem to come up with one other item that we can add to the newsletter. It's going to be like 10 pages long by the time we get done. So anyway, get in touch with us. We're over there at thesportswageringzone@gmail.com. In the meantime, taking a look at the 3 games on tap for today and in which direction the pros and the big money is going. Washington against the Yankees. They're on the Yankees. Minnesota against Detroit. Minnesota. But again, like I said, that's a very, very high favorite. You're going to be laying a lot of wood if you like that game. Blue Jays against the Astros. That game, we're into the Astros. And just as a quick reminder, it isn't all guns and roses. Yesterday, we had 3 plays. 3 plays, all 3 lost. However, for the whole season so far, we're at over 55%, 55.5% to be exact. So that's the story for that. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We are here at 12 noon Eastern Time. So I hope you have a very pleasant and enjoyable Saturday. Of course, it'll be much more enjoyable if you have a profitable Saturday as well. So thanks for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow. So have a very pleasant day. If you're going to be betting, I really, truly want you to win. And we're trying to do everything we can to help you to become a winner as well. So once again, thanks for listening. We appreciate you listening. And just a reminder, we'll be back again tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as on most of your podcast platforms as well. So until tomorrow at 11 a.m., have a very pleasant and profitable Saturday. Goodbye, everybody.